What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. You're watching another episode of the Granite Nutrition podcast. Today, I have a new guest on the show, Brad Farrugia. I get it right?
Perfect. Right
All
on.
right. I pride myself in that. But yeah, so I found Brad actually through my coach, Joe Percher. I saw him posted up on his story one time. I was like, this guy has a killer physique. I cannot believe that was your first show you did. You have one of the best first showings that I've ever seen. So that's kind of where I found you from. And what was that like? Let's just kind of go into your whole background, because you've been living the bodybuilding lifestyle for quite a while before you actually stepped on stage, right?
Yeah, just been obsessed with bodybuilding for, training in general for 5+ years, but just really all in on like the bodybuilding lifestyle for, I want to say 2 or 3 years now, with with some hiccups along the way, which I can go over
Yeah, let's
at
just
some
let's,
point
let's
here.
start
But
right at the beginning.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
what? How old are you? Where were you born? And what got you into bodybuilding?
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me on. Like I mentioned to you,
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
this is something I've wanted to do for a while. Just kind of expand my network in bodybuilding and just get out there more on social media and
Yeah,
stuff. So I really appreciate the opportunity.
that's a great way to
Um,
put it too. Expanding your networking, because like that's exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to get a lot of people who are on similar journey and paths, and just have them tell their
yeah,
story.
yeah, and it's like guys like you and I, like I feel like there's not a ton of us
No,
because we're like extra all in compared
yeah,
to the majority of people bodybuilding. So it's nice to find people you can click with.
absolutely.
But anyways, so 29 years old from Canada, Ontario specifically. I'm a couple hours away from Toronto, so um, I'm just born and raised here in a small town. Well, not so small anymore. It's kind of growing a bit, but relatively small town. Um, my backstory is not really anything climatic. Average middle class upbringing. Don't have any crazy like come up story or anything, but um, so I guess I'll just get right into kind of my bodybuilding journey up until now.
Okay.
So I do have an athletic background. Uh, I mean, Canadians have that stereotype of being hockey players. It's pretty true. I mean, I think it's a little overplayed, but definitely a lot of people played hockey or at least men played hockey at some point in their life.
Hmm.
Um, so played a high level of hockey up until 16 years old, and then once I realized, I wasn't gonna make it to the next level because even though I played at the highest level, there's a next step to it, and
Hmm.
I just wasn't there. So priorities changed. At 16 years old, you really start to prioritize like social stuff. You get into like partying,
Hmm.
part-time jobs, stuff like that. So I was ready to move on. And frankly, looking back, wasn't something I was super passionate about anyways. So honestly, when I stopped playing hockey, it was a big weight off my shoulders, if anything. Like it's just exhausting after I don't know if you played sports
Yeah,
that were super demanding
I got
growing up,
the
but
southern stereotype. I played football. So
okay, perfect. So yeah, you're probably practicing playing
yeah.
6, 7 days a week, right? So
Oh yeah, easy.
it gets pretty exhausting when you're not super passionate about it. So um, and then so after let's say retiring from hockey,
Hmm.
I did start getting to the gym a little bit, and honestly, I was the complete opposite of the average teenage guy getting into the gym. The average guy's going in there just training arms and
Yeah.
chest, right? I was the opposite. It was like I would go every day and it was rotating between training legs, and then the other day I would do like deadlifts and maybe some sort of chest workout, whether it be like bench press followed by like dumbbell fly, something like that. I don't think, looking back, I don't think I ever trained trained my back directly.
Yeah, really?
But
Wow. That's
yeah,
interesting. I'm the other way around.
it
I was obsessed with back, and I did not train
really.
legs at
Yeah,
all.
I think it was just like I think it was just that like ignorance, like because I just went to the gym, I didn't do any research, and it's like I don't see my back, so I'm not going to train it.
Yeah, I'm one
But
of the few
I
people that like from the jump, I had a decent connection to like lat pull downs and stuff. Like my
okay,
back wasn't exceptional or anything, but that was just something I always connected well with. And legs, it was so. I only really started connecting with my legs pretty much in the past like 6 to 12 months.
Really, eh? So
Yeah.
yeah, we're kind of the complete opposite there. That's why I was like training like that, because I went in the gym and within like the first couple weeks of lifting, like don't get me wrong, probably looking back, definitely training with like terrible form, but
Oh, yeah,
you
same.
know, within a couple weeks, I had like two plates on the bar, squatting that, definitely like quarter reps, like I said, but for a 16-year-old just getting in the gym, just being able to unrack that and handle it, like so same with like deadlifting. Within a few weeks, was deadlifting three probably three plates and rounded back, but just gravitated towards those because I just felt like I was good at them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyways, moving on from there, finished high school, and I just put, fell off the wagon completely.
Yeah.
No gym, just part. So I didn't go to college or anything. Right out of high school, just went to the workforce. Um,
So I think you're probably a
so
bit like me then. I think I've asked almost every guest that's come on the show about this. How were you a fan of high school or no?
no.
I don't think any of
So
us are. All bodybuilders seem to just hate high school. I don't know what it is.
yeah. So I'd say, like, relatively speaking, I was fairly intelligent, but I wasn't someone that had like the work ethic to
I'm right there with you.
do well in school. Like I would
Yeah.
never do homework. I would be the one that would pass on. I would I would pass the course strictly on doing the tests. The
Mhm.
the extra stuff, I would get zeros on everything because I wouldn't do
Yeah.
it, and then I would do just enough on the test to you know get by. So
Yeah.
that was kind of how high school was for me.
Yeah. With me, is
Um,
like if I don't care about something, I cannot learn it. Like it is
I
impossible.
yeah. If I'm not interested in something, it gets zero of my attention. But if I'm
100%.
interested in something, it gets my whole existence.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think a lot of bodybuilders are like that.
I think so.
Yeah. So anyways, finished high school, just fell off the wagon completely. Uh, Partying multiple times a week, definitely Saturday and Sunday at a minimum. Um, and kind of backtracking. So growing up, a lot of people assume for some reason that I was like a skinny kid growing up, but I was not.
Hmm.
I was, um, I'd say I was relatively chubby, but seeing I was an athlete, kind of kept it at bay there.
Mhm.
I've always been someone with like a massive appetite, so
Same.
having family dinners, there wasn't leftovers because
Oh yeah.
everyone's like cleaning up, and I'm sitting there with a second plate of food, right?
Yep.
So, anyways, get rid of sports, get rid of going to the gym, um, start eating whatever I want, and partying on top of that. And I blew up pretty quick. I was I want to say the heaviest I seen on the scale was about 240 something,
Hmm.
but it probably got worse than that.
And what
But this is
how tall are you? I think you're 5'8" or 5'9".
5'10".
Okay, so I couldn't
So
remember if you were like an inch shorter or inch taller than me. So you're an inch taller than me.
yeah, yeah.
So I've been on TRT since I was I think like 19 or 20 because like my natural test levels were like 180, and
Oh wow.
my dumb ass thought, oh, I'm on 200 milligrams of test every other week. Side tangent, that's retarded. But I'm on 200 milligrams of test every other week. I can eat whatever I want and not get fat. Cut to me blowing up to be like, this wasn't a fasted weight, so who knows what I was fasted, but I was walking around at like 250, maybe even 260, like 25, 30, probably like 35, 40% body fat, just like blowed up to hell. That was my college experience. I went for one semester
Yeah.
and I did that damage.
But you were in the gym while you were doing that,
Oh,
or?
dude, I like from the jump, I was training like 6, 7 days a week in the gym, twice a day workouts. Like if we had football, I'd train 3, 4 times a day between cardio and weights. Like I'm a serial overtrainer from my past.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least in that situation, you at a minimum you built a little something
Yeah.
under there. Definitely wasn't the right approach. I
No.
mean, I think that's like a rite of passage in bodybuilding. I mean, I did the same thing when I got into lifting. Just push the scale up way too fast and
Yeah.
put on a ton of fat. I think every, unless people are smart enough to get a coach right off the bat, everybody goes through that, and it's like a rite of passage. So, and you never do it again.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. Anyways, where was I? Yeah. So finished high school. Now I'm in my early 20s and just like so out of shape. Just kind of feel like I've lost my identity a bit. Not getting any attention from women. not that that was like a main priority, but you know, like
It
you want
still
to look at
impacts you.
yourself. Yeah, yeah, you know, you look at yourself and you're just like, I just look gross and I feel like shit. And so, so really like my inception into getting to the gym after that, it was just all in right away. You know, I, I'm someone that spends a lot of time on the internet, so I self-taught myself a lot of stuff. I remember back then, like I was watching a lot of Dr. Mike. He has like a ton of valuable information on dieting and
For
stuff.
sure. Yeah.
So it's so I as much as I think his content's pretty corny and I don't agree with a lot of it nowadays. Some of his older stuff, man, like it's
I think
gold.
for
Like if you haven't,
beginners, it can be okay.
yeah, yeah, like it's long form and it's you know he he really what's the word?
He kind of knows how to explain it in layman's terms.
Yeah, exactly. It's very like palatable
Yeah.
for someone trying to learn. So if you're willing to like put the time into learning it. So, anyways, I got to give him credit for a lot of diet stuff I know now. Um, so, anyways, just went all in. You know, I feel like during that time where I got disgusting, as I'd call it, I kind of developed like a some sort of like eating disorder, I guess you'd call
Mm,
it,
same here.
which now still kind of impacts me because even though like I'm someone that never gets really fat anymore, I still have that fear. Like I don't do cheat meals now.
Yeah.
You know, it makes me a little anxious. Like if I'm doing anything off plan, but and this is something I'm working on. But just
Hmm.
like going through that time in my life, like it's built that mindset. So right off the bat, like I probably went like 2 or 3 years without any cheat meals, just like
Wow.
clean eating 100%. And even up till now, you know, like I in the last 2 years, I've maybe had like two or three cheat meals.
Yeah.
I'm just I'm just like not that guy. I don't know,
Yeah.
and it's not like it's not me trying to be hardcore. It's
I've got
just
an
what makes me feel
example.
good, you know.
I've got an example of that, and I'm curious to see if he's had you do something similar. So, when I first got with Coach Perch, I completely 180 my training because, like I was mentioning earlier, I was a serial like I wouldn't even call it overtraining because my training intensity was awful. It was just a shit ton of junk volume. So we completely revamped my training, and for the first time in my life, I was actually able to train myself into a recovery hole. And I'm kind of the same opinion as you. I have that past of kind of being heavy, and for me that was my entire life. I didn't see my abs until I did my first show. And they kind of stuck around, but
Hmm.
yeah. So I've got that similar background. So I just didn't really want to take cheat meals. I think I maybe took a couple here and there in the cruise or whatever, working with him, and I heard his explanation on like how he likes to take the cheat meals in the cruise because it's kind of a time to focus on other things outside of it. So I did that same approach, but I had stopped taking them for a while, and I trained myself into that recovery debt. We took an extra day off the gym, which for me was like crazy because I've been like at least 5 days a week for years at this point. And then we realized that did not really fix the problem. So it's like, okay, take another day off. And then, long story short, I end up taking 6 days in a row off the gym, something I had never done in my life. And on the tail end of that, he says, because I think he could kind of tell that I didn't want to take cheat meals or anything. So he was like, all right, at the end of this, you are, so we were about to start going back to training again on that Monday, right? So he's like, okay, Saturday night, you're going to take your lady out for a good meal, and then you're also going to go for breakfast in the morning. And I'm like,
Nice.
wow, I've never had a coach tell me to take a cheat meal before. That's crazy. So that kind of woke me up a little bit. So it's like, okay, this is something to get rid of stress. So I need to get out
Hmm.
of my head, and I need to not go get a steak and potato with no salt, no pepper, no butter on it. I need to go get a burger and just kind of chill, let my cortisol get down, and then same thing in the morning. We went for pancakes. So I'm right there with you. I don't like taking cheat meals, but they can serve a purpose. And like you're mentioning with stress is the enemy of a bodybuilder. The lower we can get our stress, the better we can perform and the better we can recover.
100%. Yeah. When it comes to cheat meals, like 100%, if, you know, my coach says, you know, go have a cheat meal, like I would still get anxious about it a
Yeah,
little bit
same.
because it's like because then I'd be like, okay, what do I order? But
Yeah.
you know, it when it comes to like a coach client relationship, I'm definitely one of those clients that like just tell me what to do and I will do it 100%. Like, you tell me to eat dirt, I'm going to eat dirt.
Yeah.
And, like, not even to be hardcore. It's just like,
Yeah.
if that's what I need to do to achieve my goals and be the
Yeah.
best bodybuilder,
I
that's what I'm
think
going to do.
I think I put on my intake form, like when he was asking for like preferences of food and stuff, I was like, I literally do not care. I'm allergic to eggs, so don't put those on my plan. Anything else, if I got to eat literal dog food to get jacked, I don't give a fuck. Send it my way.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I might not enjoy it, but like, if I'm looking better every check-in, like, let's
Exactly.
run it up.
Yeah, I enjoy progress a whole lot more than I enjoy food.
Yeah, 100%. And like at a certain point, like once you've been doing it for a while,
Yeah.
um, you just kind of become numb to it. And
Mm.
yeah. On the food thing, I do have one question.
Yeah.
It's something I wonder about people. Like, so for kind of two-part question, um, do you use condiments with your meals?
Yes.
Okay. Now, are you someone that needs variety, or do you have like
I can do
one
both.
bottle? Okay, but so you don't like open one bottle and when it's done you open the next one, or do you have like a few on the go at the same time?
I go through phases. I will go through phases of using nothing but mustard and maybe some spicy brown mustard. And if I have a beef meal, maybe sugar-free ketchup. In a prep, I won't even do the sugar-free ketchup or the brown mustard.
Yeah.
I'll just do nothing but yellow mustard, and I'll weigh it out.
Yeah,
So
gotcha. Yeah, so for me, sauces are something that's completely new to me on this rebound. Like I would do some seasoning and stuff before, but I would never do sauces. It was just um I just like to keep it as simple as
yeah,
possible. But I've been doing a lot of stuff on this rebound, like like the flavored cream of rice,
hmm
the sauces, like incorporating all that just to have a little more fun with it.
yeah,
But I have to force myself to have one bottle on the go at a time,
yeah.
or else I'm going to be at the grocery store every single day buying a new bottle, and my fridge is just going to be full of like 20 bottles that are just sitting there for months. So I have to force myself to fit.
Yeah.
So I'll have it on all my meals every day until it's done, and then I get to open a new one. So that's where I'm at with that.
Yeah, I love those. I'm trying to think how long ago it was. It was probably at least 2.5 years ago. I got some flavor gang sauces and I loved them. They were great. It's just I would go through them too quick and I'd feel really bad about it because of how expensive they were. So
Yeah, I
then
know.
I'm almost, I think I'm just a volume enjoyer. Like when it came to my training in the past and food and condiments, stuff like that, I just like to have a lot of everything. So it's like,
Yeah,
I'm the type of guy, I would legit rather sit down and eat like 500-600 grams of cooked rice than have like, 100 of this, 100 of that, 100 of that. Like I actually don't mind the super, super high volume. Same thing with sauces. So it's like, all right, what's the one I can have the most of? Mustard. So that's typically what I do.
yeah, yeah. I'm the same way with food. Like I could throw back like I don't know what the most I've done. Probably like 450 grams of rice in a sitting, but
Yeah.
like I probably still could have thrown back more. I don't know if I could do that consistently every
Yeah.
day across 5 6 meals, but yeah, I'm definitely a big eater. So
I think it's a superpower in bodybuilding. Honestly, it has its hardships, especially come contest prep. But I'm starting to realize that with things like Retta, I think it's going to make it a lot. I don't want to say easier, but there's no really other word to describe it. I think it's just going to make contest prep a lot easier for guys with us that have crazy appetites. Like I've been at 6,500 calories, 7 meals a day. I could have been eating 8 to 10 meals a day. I could have been at like 8,000 calories. I can throw down when it comes to food.
yeah. Now I think I'm a little different in that sense because my hunger signaling is literally the same whether I'm eating 2,000
Yeah,
calories or I'm eating 6,000 calories.
it
So
is.
honestly, I'm gonna be honest. Like on my prep, my food stayed pretty high right through, and I don't think there was maybe a few days, like literally a few days, where I was like, I'm uncomfortably hungry right now.
Mhm.
But like, I'm not one of those guys that's like staring at the ceiling at night because I'm so hungry,
Oh yeah, no, not
or
me either. No.
or like finishing a meal and it's like, oh, I can't wait for my next one. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, that's
I've
where I'm at with
never
that.
I've never been like woken up by hunger, if that makes sense. Like I hear stories of guys like waking up with hunger pains. I've never had that happen.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not like that, but like I can always eat. Like
Yep.
I ate before we got on this call, and it's like
Yeah.
if someone put massive meal in front of me, like I could probably put it back. So
Yeah. Do you
I
find
think
that
you're the
it's
same.
do you find that it's mostly a mental thing? Like it's a mental want to eat. It's not necessarily hunger. That's what it
I
is for
think it
me.
depends. I think there is a physical demand for it, and this is something I stand on pretty firmly. And it comes down to how much output you have.
Oh
So,
yeah.
for instance, I just train legs, so I'm going to be starving for the rest of the night, and I'm big on that. I've said before, like people who struggle with getting their food down, like
Mm,
take a look at your training. Like, how hard are you training? Um, I, you know, I like to be humble, but like I know I train harder than like I'm in like the top 1% of training intensity,
for sure.
and I think that plays a big role into how much you can eat, because
Absolutely.
there's definitely a correlation for me at least, if I have a really good training session, I'm going to be ravenous, and even tomorrow, just recovering from leg day, I'm going to be hungry as hell. So I think that's a big factor in it too.
Absolutely. But yeah, continuing with your story there, we left off basically
Oh,
just on.
God.
I think we're kind of getting into the start of your competitive career is where we're heading there.
Okay, so anyway, well, I'll start
Or
off like
well,
when
coach.
I got
Yeah, yeah,
where I'll just jump to, I don't know exactly where we were, but I'll just jump to when I actually got into bodybuilding
yeah.
itself. So I'll I'd say I'll call it the start of that when I hired Joe as a coach. I'd say
That's
that's
what I
like the
was
start of
thinking.
my bodybuilding career. So when I first reached out to him, I actually had no intentions of competing at all. And just as time went on, I started following bodybuilding a little more. He was putting out content about bodybuilding, and I was like, okay, like yeah, one day I want to compete. And so after about a year of working together, um, so I came to him. I was pretty lean. I would say well, I was probably about 180 pounds, decent shape, maybe somewhere between like 10 and 15% body fat, let's say. Right off the bat, I had no muscle, so we probably could have dieted down and that could have been productive, but also I had no muscle, so he just pushed my weight up. I think over the course of the year, I got up to probably 220, 225, pretty soft, but he always told me, he's like, like you're in off season shape. Like
Hmm.
if you don't have muscle, like this is the shape you got to get in. Like you're gonna get soft, but you're pushing for size in like the early stages of bodybuilding, right? So, anyways, pushed up to about 220, and I originally planned on competing a year before, but this is where there was a bit of a hiccup in my career as of now. So, um, last year last year I turned 27, and for some reason 27 just like hit me like a wall. Like I was like, damn, like I'm getting old. Like I feel like I'm so behind on certain things. Like I had never been in a relationship. I was just super focused on my career and saving money and stuff. So I was like, like I need to step back from bodybuilding and like check some of these things off my list. Like put effort into like a relationship or something. So, anyways, I turned 27, and I told Joe like I need to step back. And so basically dropped all my gear down to just TRT. And honestly, like I kind of just ghosted him. Like I was like, yeah, I'll still check in, but I'm not really gonna be in it. And then like 2 weeks later, he hits me up. He's like, is everything all right? Like you haven't been checking in. And I'm like, dude, like I just need to like step away for a little bit. So I spent about 8 months, pursuing a relationship, wasn't a relationship, and it didn't work out. Like it just wasn't for me, man. And it just, that whole experience just shined a light on how important bodybuilding was for me. So 8 months down the road, I think, I think kind of how it came to fruition was Joe posted an update on his story, just like a progress pic, and I messaged him in DMs, and I was like, dude, like you're looking you're looking good. I think I commented on his arms specifically, like, holy shit, you put a lot of size on your arms or something. Then we just started kind of shooting the shit. I think subconsciously, like, I wanted to kind of spark the conversation of like
Hmm.
starting to work together again. And I was actually at that time, I was dieting down super hard. Like, I was just self coaching. I I was dieting down with the plans of rebounding because at that time, like I started to really like notice, okay, like why are these bodybuilders basically mutating after
Yeah.
a show? Like, what are they doing? Like, why are actual bodybuilders making such significant progress, and the average guys in the gym are just kind of looking the same?
Mm.
So then
That
I
can be
put
a
two
whole
and two
podcast right there.
to yeah, and so like I started looking into it. I'm like, okay, you know, like there's definitely this effect of when you get fat free and then you push things aggressively. You know, you can really make some significant progress. So that
Yeah,
was the
man.
plan right off the bat. So, anyways, 8 months later, reach out to him, we connect again, and I'm like, do you want to? I was planning on dieting down for about 6 more weeks. Do you want to take over my plan and see this through, and then coach me through the rebound, and we'll see where it goes from there. So, yeah, linked back up with him, pushed me through the rest of this diet. I got really, I got really lean. I think even at the time I underestimated it and probably everyone else did, like how lean I was.
Yeah.
I didn't have a ton of muscle, so you couldn't really tell, but I was I was pretty lean. And then we hit a rebound, and that's where I really like shape shifted, man. Like and I started to feel like an actual bodybuilder. So basically we did that diet, very moderate PEDs, and then transitioned to the rebound. And at this time I was just ready to go all in, like because
Yeah.
I had that period where I was like I had that period where I tried to live a, what would you call it, like a more traditional life, but I'm like,
Normal.
nah, dude. Yeah, but I'm like, I'm gonna go all in on bodybuilding. So it's like
Hell yeah.
that's where I kind of so like kind of like my brand that I brand myself with is like no limit.
Hmm.
So that's where I kind of, I guess, develop that mindset, was at that time where it's like, okay, I'm going to stop worrying about training too much. I'm going to stop worrying about doing too much PEDs. I'm going to stop worrying about eating too much. And I'm just going to push everything as hard as I can. So we push the gear up, like, relatively speaking, to my standards now, not that crazy,
Yeah.
but it was my first time where I actually pushed like real dosages, as I would call them.
Mm.
Um, so, and we pushed that growth phase for a good, oh shit, I want to say like anywhere between like 7 to 9 months,
Oh
because I was
wow.
so fresh. I was so fresh going into it because I was on TRT for 8 months, dieted down on a very conservative amount of PEDs,
Mm.
and so I was just fresh, and uh, we just hammered it for,
It
let's say,
probably
70.
that growth phase probably almost felt like your first cycle just due to how sensitive you were to
Oh,
everything.
dude, it was my best cycle ever.
Nice.
The progress was way more significant than even my first cycle.
How much? I know
Um,
it's hard to put a label on it, but like, how much tissue do you think you actually got from that period of time?
okay, so to actually quantify it, the end of that diet, I think the lowest weigh-in was 167 pounds, and I stepped on stage at my first show at 194,
Nice.
um, leaner than I dieted down to during that diet. So,
Very
I
nice.
mean that. I mean, people say you probably will say you can't put on that much muscle tissue in
They don't
less than a
know.
year, but I mean, I was over 20 pounds up in, and I was leaner. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I guess that would be 20 27 pounds.
We'll round it up and say 30.
Yeah,
Give it a
yeah.
little
Like
extra
obviously
credit.
there, obviously there's other stuff going on there. Like
Oh yeah.
like running PEDs. You're going to
Yeah.
have more like fluid and nitrogen retention and stuff. So that's going to add a few pounds. But like I put on a lot of size in less than a year for
Mhm.
sure. Um,
So what
So
about 9 to 10 months or so, pretty much overall?
yeah, and even through prep though, like I definitely grew.
Oh yeah, definitely possible.
Yeah, which was crazy to me because it's like PED wise, total milligrams. I wasn't running anything more than I was during that growth phase. I think just over that time, just getting leaner, becoming more insulin sensitive, continuing to improve on training, getting stronger. Because the craziest thing to me was I was literally hitting PRs up until 2 weeks out,
Wow.
and that was kind of like a mental barrier for me because um, like if you ask Joe, like I was in my head about being ready, like pretty bad. I
I
was
saw you
like, dude,
post
like
about that on your story too.
yeah, like I did not think I was going to be ready in time. And that was like just another thing too. It's like, shouldn't I be feeling like shit right now? Like, why am I 2 weeks out and still hitting PRs?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty surreal to me. Going to the second show, we did really push things down for more conditioning, and that's when I started to feel it. But and that's like a whole nother discussion because we kind of went into one show with one approach, and then the other show with another approach.
That makes
We
sense.
could talk about that if you we could talk about that if you want to,
Yeah,
but
sure. Because I think that kind of follows the timeline too. We can go into that, and I think that's
yeah.
a
So
really, I think it's a really smart approach too. Because like, unless I understand this, if like you're going, let's say your first show is like your qualifier, and then your second show is like a pro qualifier, right? I understand having basically the same approach for those two shows, or at the very least having a more linear approach. That would be with doing two. They were both regional level shows, right?
yeah,
It makes sense to
yeah,
have two different approaches because then you get two different chances to experiment and see what works with you. So maybe on that first one, you aim for a bit of a fuller look, and on that second one, you aim for a drier, harder look.
yeah. So that's exactly what we did. So the first one, we decided, okay, we're going to go in for a fuller look, and that we definitely nailed that one. That was like everything came together so perfectly for that show. Like I would always hear about guys talking about when they're posing and they just feel like you could feel yourself getting harder and like more pumped up like through the poses. Like that's exactly how I felt. Barely had to pump up, like pumped up for like maybe like at the most like 2 minutes before
Yeah,
getting on stage. It was just full blown. You just
yeah.
look at a weight and you get a pump.
Side
So
tangent. Have you had this experience? I swear, man, because I did three different classes for my second show that I did back in May. Dude, literally just from sitting in the front relaxed, my side delts were demolished, man. Did that happen to you?
yeah, I mean yeah, I
It
definitely
was
had to let him
awful.
down. I had to let him down a couple times, but yeah, I mean that's not a bad thing though. I mean that
Yeah,
means everything's clicking, I guess.
yeah.
But yeah, so the first show went in with a fuller look and nailed it. Uh, and then I kind of said to him, so basically the data collected from that was, I don't have enough muscle to be competitive and like a good sorry about that. So,
That's all good.
anyways, I I I competed as a light heavyweight. The show, the first show was pretty small, so they combined light heavyweight to super heavyweight all in one class, which kind of sucked. But even as a light heavyweight, just don't have enough muscle to really hang in a competitive lineup. So, we kind of decided going to the second show that we're just going to look at the bigger picture here and push conditioning further to
To
have
rebound.
basically have a better rebound, you know, and we know we were taking a risk of showing up and not having a better look. So, anyways, pushing conditioning for 2 weeks after the first show. I came to the second show definitely leaner. Um, Definitely not a good look though, in my opinion at least. I couldn't eat enough food. I just felt I would eat and then feel flat. And we were pushing a ton of food going into that show too. I can't remember off the top of my head the exact numbers, but like I think the last meal uh, one day I was like probably like 350 grams of rice, like 50 grams of carbs from sourdough, honey in there, probably like 60 grams of
Did you
nut butter or
find
something. Just
Did you find that it became kind of like a battle between fullness versus distension, to where you were having to eat so much that like the stomach was becoming hard to control, or what do you think it like you just physically could not? There was no distension, you just couldn't get enough food to achieve the desired fullness.
Yeah, there was no issue with digestion.
Oh
Stomach
wow.
was okay, ripping through the food. Yeah, it was just I would eat, maybe feel a little full, and then just feel flat again.
Wow.
And then the day of the show, even on stage, I like they say like fading away. Like I could feel that. It wasn't the same as the first show where,
Mhm.
as I was posing, like I was just feeling fuller and harder. I felt like my body kind of fading away, and I think you could see that in the pictures too. So, anyways, like no regrets
Mhm. You had a plan.
doing that. Yeah, because looking at the bigger picture, it definitely going to have a better rebound because of that. And even in that lineup, if I came into that show with the same look from the previous show, I still wouldn't have been competitive. So it was just, basically at that point, the second show was just more stage time and just
Mhm.
getting the bodybuilding experience more. Like I knew I wasn't going to be competitive in that lineup, so. Well, I didn't know that, but I knew there was definitely a
Yeah.
risk with that approach.
You had
Yeah,
a level headed thought process behind it all. Like you
yeah,
didn't expect to go in there and like just completely clean house, and you also didn't expect to get wiped out either. It's like you kind of probably figured,
yeah,
all right, probably in the middle of the pack, or maybe on the high end, maybe on the low end, but you weren't too hard on each side. Is what I'm saying.
yeah. I will say though, I did kind of come into the second show with a bit of a chip on my shoulder because as much as I was happy with the look we brought to the first show, I was in the first call out, which I'm proud of, but I really think there could have been an argument that I should have been top three.
Hmm.
But obviously, I was a little undersized, and that's what cost me. But in both shows, I would say I was probably the best conditioned. But I guess one thing I learned from competing, I would say once you get to light heavyweight and above, it's a muscle contest.
Yeah.
The best conditioned isn't necessarily going to win unless the guy you're comparing against is way out of shape. If they're in decent condition and have a good amount of muscle more than you, they're going to take it every time.
Especially at like our level of competition,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. Which is like contrary to what a lot of people seem to say. Like
Mm-mm.
you hear people on podcasts that have been in the game for a long time. They're like, for your first show, the number one priority should be conditioning because everyone comes to regional shows out of shape. But it's like I don't think it's like that
Yeah,
anymore. Like
it's
everybody
not.
comes. Yeah, like I'd say in both shows there was maybe one guy that looked like he didn't diet, and everyone else was in respectable shape. Not
Yeah.
strided glutes, but respectable. Like
Yeah. I was having a similar conversation with the guy Tyler that I had on today's episode, which just released. We're recording this on December 8th, and it's like honestly, we got to remember at these kind of regional level shows. It may be our first show, but there's more than one judge there. I'm sure there's at least a couple judges that have a lot of experience at that table, but some of those judges, it could be their first show judging because they have to learn how to judge somewhere, and ultimately it, it is a muscle contest, right? But if we are truly undeniable at this level, we're going to win the show. Like all there is just more work to be done now, and it just lights a fire to get back into that off season and just keep it rolling.
100%. And yeah, I lit a fire under my ass. Is like I'm just ready to. I was already pushing things pretty hard,
Yeah,
but ready to push them even further, and that's what we've been doing. So I guess we could move on to the rebound.
yeah. Let's do it.
I mean, I don't know, like I don't really know what to share about it, but
Just generally, like
so
kind of how it's been for you, where you're at, and how many weeks post show, weight day of the show versus weight now, just general stuff like that.
yeah, so I'd say 4.5 weeks post show now, up a little over 20 pounds
Nice.
from the show.
And what was stage
Conditioning.
weight, by the way? I don't think we mentioned.
So first show was 194, and I believe the second show was maybe 190.
Okay.
And this morning I weighed in at 213. Uh, but I don't think that was a true 213 because something else we could get into a little bit if you want to. I have ran into a little bit of digestive issues
Okay.
right now on the rebound that we're working through, but it's minor. But so, anyways, I was a little backed up this morning, so we'll call it 213. So a little
Okay.
over 20 pounds. Doing a little experiment with some pretty
Yeah.
high dose growth hormones, so that's been interesting. So I could talk about that a little bit.
Let's go to it. Let's. I'm at that kind of similar wavelength of. I love talking about the growth, man. It is.
Yeah.
I had never used any until this off season and rebound, and it's
Oh
like,
wow.
dude, holy shit, game changer. Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. I guess there are some people that don't respond well to it, but I'm in the same boat. Like, aside from, I would put it. So if I were to make a list of things that have really pushed my progress and changed my physique, number one would be high testosterone.
Yep.
Would be number one. Number two, definitely growth hormone. Um, so up until the rebound, the highest dose of GH I ran was 10 IUs, which is still a relatively high dose.
Yeah.
Depends what circle of people you're in, but
Yeah, dude. I'm like,
um,
I'm over here. Like, I'm on 8, and to me, that's a lot. Which, of course, it's my first
yeah,
time really doing it, so I would say 8 is a decent level of exposure. But you hear someone say 8 to 10, and they're like, "That's low dose. If you're not doing 20, it's a waste of time." I'm like, what the
yeah,
fuck is wrong with people?
yeah. Well, I can't say I know too many people pushing it as high as I am right now, but um, like my circle of people at the gym that I've talked to about it,
Yeah,
um, most guys are running like 4 to 6. Um,
I'd say yeah. That's a
and
similar experience with me, is what I would say. Yeah,
yeah, but you come across a lot of people online that are running 8 to 12, let's say.
100.
Um, yeah, okay, yeah, there's that too, but
That
that's a whole
one
different
guy.
story.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, up until the rebound, highest I ran was 10. Uh, right away, going to the rebound, bumped it up to 18 IUs.
Nice.
Um, and really, it's been phenomenal. Aside from water retention, that I can't even necessarily correlate to the GH entirely because there's so many other things going
Oh yeah,
on.
for sure.
So I'm also running DECA for the first time, which is notorious for,
I've never done Deca
um,
either, and I'm hoping
yeah,
maybe we sprinkle in a little bit of MPP at the end of this cycle or
yeah.
something because I've never run. This is the fucked up thing. I've run Mint before, but I've never run Deca. Ain't that a
Yeah.
bitch?
Honestly, it's so weird though. Like because if you ask me like why do you want to run DECA, like I don't have like a good logical answer for it. Honestly, I think it comes down to like I just have this personality where I want to be different, and it seems like right now everyone's running test and EQ,
Yeah.
and I'm just like I want to be different. I'm going to run test and DECA, And going back to prep, I did run some EQ and kind of I wouldn't say I ruled it out forever, but I don't think I'm a fan of it.
You get anxiety.
Um, no, it wasn't
Oh,
anything side effect related. Honestly, like I don't get side effects from PEDs. Knock on wood. I'm not going to ramble on, but I have this little thing called manifestation that I do. I'm a big believer of it. A lot of side effects and shit that people get, it's
I
all in their
agree.
head, and they bring it on themselves. But I'm not going to go off on that. So ran some EQ at the start of prep, and it just buried my
Mm.
estrogen. And I'm someone that aromatizes a lot,
Oh,
so
okay.
that was a huge shocker. So dosage wise, we started the prep at 700 test and 500 EQ, and that buried my estrogen
Yeah,
to
that would bury me for sure.
undetectable levels. We adjusted it to a gram a test and like 300 or 350 EQ.
Mhm.
Pulled blood work 3 or 4 weeks later, and I was still on the low end of the reference range.
Mm. It's so
So
long acting too. That's the only bad part about
yeah,
AQ.
yeah. So when I did pull the lab work the second time, I did feel all right, but
Mm.
it's just for what it was. I didn't feel like I was getting a ton out of it. So as for now, like I don't have plans on running it, but like honestly, control my estrogen, like I'm in the camp of just using AIs.
It's fair.
I know there's still a ton of people that are in the other camp and will not touch them with a 10-foot
Yeah.
pole, but um,
That
you
could
know,
be interesting to go into a bit. So, I wonder what kind of ideology you fall into with it. I'm of the opinion where I do not think anti-estrogens in and of themselves are harmful. I think it's low estrogen that is harmful. So, like, do you think there is any actual toxicity or direct issue from a tablet of, anastrozole? I don't think there is.
so I can only speak on my own experience, and I do have enough data collected to form an opinion on this. So I have had several instances where my estrogen is bottomed out, and I'm not someone that ever struggles with bad lipids on blood work. They're always good. On cycle, I'll be a few points below the reference range on my HDL, but
Mhm.
LDL is always good. Triglycerides are always good. But anytime my estrogen's bottomed out, I see a drop in my HDL.
Mhm.
And that's where I think that AI's got the bad rap. I've been using a pretty liberal dose of AI for over a year now. Running high test, I need 3 to 4 milligrams a week
And what does high
of.
test mean to you? Because obviously everybody's going to have their own opinion.
Yeah, so right now I'm running a gram. Um,
Same.
I I have pushed it to 1250, which I actually prefer to be at. Like I just feel like an absolute tank
Yeah, man.
on that dose, even though it's not like a massive jump from a gram to 1250.
I would argue it
Um,
is a massive jump because I think the higher you get, the more it kind of stacks up, right? It kind of builds up on itself.
yeah,
I've done. I don't remember if it was 1250 or 1400, but I want to say I've done as high as 1400. And there was nothing else in the cycle; it was just test. And
yeah,
man, I felt amazing. I think I was taking like maybe 3 mgs, 2 mgs of Arimidex a week, and I was good. It was great.
yeah, yeah. So I wouldn't adjust my AI dose. I wouldn't adjust my AI dose whether I was running a gram or 1250. I'd
Hmm.
just run the same amount. On a gram, uh, 4 milligrams keeps me in the reference ranges, which I feel better at.
Hmm.
I know some guys like to run it a bit higher, but I just feel good in the reference range. 1250, if I were to run the same dose, I would probably be at the upper end of the range. So I just don't even bother. I still
Hmm.
feel good. Um, yeah, so I ran them at that dose for over a year, and lipids. So as long as my estrogen's in check, lipids are fine. So I I'm definitely in the camp of using AIs.
Yeah, I think they're a tool, and that's what it comes down to. We can't blindly run a milligram a day of Arimidex on a gram of test and expect it to be okay just because it's higher test, right? Like that's where blood work and honestly just listening to your body can come into play. But I don't really write anything off except for really just DNP. That's the only thing I would
Yeah,
never do.
yeah. I mean, even that.
And I'm sure
I
there's an
think
intelligent way to run that too.
that's what I was gonna say. If you're running it intelligently, like I know, like people use it and are successful with it. Um, I've proven that I'm not someone that struggles to get in shape, so I don't
Hmm.
see myself ever needing to reach for that. So, but I know there are people that might need to, and I wouldn't recommend it. But if you want to use it, like just be
Yeah.
intelligent about it.
And there's
Um,
nothing that I like poo poo on. I don't think, like, if someone uses DMP, if someone uses synthol, if someone uses absurd amounts of insulin, I don't care. Like, they're not asking us on stage what we took or how
I
we
know
took it. So,
exactly. The judges don't give a shit. You don't get rewarded for having the lowest cycles, so
exactly.
that's that.
Yeah, take what you
Yeah,
need. And, if you don't need to take more, don't take more. But if you need to take more, take more if your goals are in line. Like,
yeah,
I'm surprised by how much I'm growing right now on a gram of test and 600 EQ with 8 units of growth. Like if I were like, this is one of the a million reasons that everybody should have a coach, man. Because if I was coaching myself right now, I'd probably be on a gram and a half a test, a gram of EQ, and like 500 MPP, and I'd just be killing my blood work, right? But on this
mhm,
amount, I know it's an amount that I've done blood work on like 100 milligrams less, and my blood work was as good as I've ever seen it. So I'm growing clearly week to week on my check-ins, and my health is most likely in a very good spot. Why would I add more if I don't need it, right?
yeah, man. And just seeing your progress pics, like you're staying lean as hell too.
Yeah,
Like
Joe actually was talking to me
it's
about that today. It's
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, and it's insane. There's going to be another level to it too. Once you compete and get in that true condition, like you're never. I don't think you can even get fat now, but
I don't
you
know.
know, well, I mean, you're pushing a lot of food
Yeah,
and you're
yeah.
growing and you're staying lean. So, I feel like it's going to be very hard for you to get fat.
Yeah, I think so. And
But
just, with our mentalities, we've talked about a bit on here too. I think that alone is going to stop either of us from getting crazy fat. Like, I think we would have to try to like get above 15, sixteen
yeah,
percent body fat.
yeah, like you would need to eat like a serious asshole
Absolutely.
to achieve that. Um, yeah, and honestly, like the thing is, I'm not. A year ago I would have been scared to get fat, but
Same
now
here.
it's like I look at pictures of guys in the off season, like the early 2000s. It's like I honestly kind of want to look like that because like they're wearing like oversized shirts and they look massive in them, and it's like
Yeah.
I want to walk around like that. I mean, I have a long way to go to have that kind of size, but I'm not scared to get fluffy at this point. But at the same time, I know like relatively speaking, like it will be very hard for me to get fluffy like that. So we have some pretty big goals for the off season. Joe's adamant on getting me up to 250, which will
Hell
be
yeah.
definitely uncharted territory for me. But we'll see, man. Like that's a lot of weight
Yeah.
to put
And you're
on.
talking fasted weight, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
So
broke
that
close to 240. I think I got like 237.8 or something, and I'm wanting to. I'm sitting around now at about 230 because we pushed up, did a cut or not a cut, a cruise kind of mini cycle or mini cut rather, pulled back a bit, dropped down to 220. Now I'm back up to 230. I would definitely like to be around that 240, maybe 250
yeah,
mark. That'd be really cool. Like that feeling you're talking about where you're just like puffed up like a puffer
yeah,
fish all
for
day.
sure. Weight is such a weird thing though, man, because up until now, my heaviest bodybuilding weight has only been like 225.
Yeah,
But,
mine was
um,
231.
like I look around the gym and it's like, not someone, I'm not trying to sound like I have a big ego or anything, but it's like, I look at myself right now at 213 and comparing myself to guys that are whatever 230, 240, and like I feel like I look bigger. Like I don't know,
You
maybe
have good
that.
shape. That plays into it for sure.
Yeah, maybe, but even like when I tell people how much I weigh, they're like, "Oh, I would have thought you're way heavier." So I don't know. Maybe I got hollow bones or skinny bones or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah. Anyways,
So when it comes to the PED sides of things, I think we covered a lot there. The higher dose of growth, and 18 was as high as you've gone to it, or did you go past 18?
yeah.
Okay.
No, 18. And I do want to mention one thing about the 18 units. Sleep is just like out of this world.
Yeah.
Um, Basically at this point sleeping a minimum of 9 hours up to 10 hours a night. That's not right through, like don't get me wrong, I'm waking
Yeah.
up to pee, probably waking up like 2 3 times, but like get back in bed out like a light, sleeping deeply. It's insane, man.
Crazy
it's good
dreams.
it's
You getting that?
No, actually I don't really have dreams at all, if I'm
Oh.
going to be honest, not that I can remember at least.
Do you know if you have
um
any sleep apnea at all?
so I have been treating sleep apnea for about 2 years now. So
Okay.
I do use a CPAP, yeah.
Are you
And that was
pretty you pretty good with it, or?
oh yeah. So
Okay.
before getting diagnosed, I was I was very sleep deprived.
Hmm.
It was to the point I was sitting at my desk at work, falling asleep at the wheel. And the crazy thing is, like, I wasn't a big guy at the time. I was probably only like maybe 200 pounds. And I didn't snore or anything, but like I knew something was up. So
Bro,
when it got,
this is how bad my sleep apnea is. I've had my tonsils removed since I was like 5, and I think my doctor said it was some of the most severe sleep apnea they've ever seen. It was like
wow,
I
yeah,
think I had one test on my because it shows up like your events per hour. I've seen 30,
yeah.
40, like absurd, almost one like every half second or 2 seconds rather.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, per minute or yeah.
yeah,
See, I think mine was maybe like mine was classified as severe, but I want to say it was like 60 per hour or something. So like one per
yeah.
minute or something, which is still bad. But yeah, if you're choking up every second, that's
Dude,
brutal.
I would wake
Um,
up with my throat closed. It was awful.
oh, yeah. And kind of like a side tangent, I think sleep apnea is something that's overlooked
Mm,
by so many people, and just people people even people that know they have sleep apnea neglect it because they're because they don't want to be uncomfortable for
it's
like a
hard.
week of getting used to it. But it's
Oof.
like, do
It,
you not know, what the sleep apnea is doing
yeah,
to you? Like, you're walking around red as a tomato all day because your blood pressure is probably like 200 over 90, and it's like you're gonna have some sort of cardiovascular event in probably
100%.
5 years if you don't start using the CPAP. And
Absolutely.
they always complain about being tired and feeling like shit. And it's like,
Oh, I hate
yeah,
that.
well, yeah.
I
So,
don't
anyways,
understand
like
why
for
people
me,
will complain about something and then not do anything about it. That kills me,
yeah.
dude.
Yeah, and it's like, so the minute I was so sleep deprived that the minute I got my CPAP, like I definitely had like one night of being uncomfortable, but I still the first night I got it, I slept like a baby, and
Wow.
within days I just felt like this glow, like where people say CPAP changes your life. It's like it definitely did within days. Like I just felt amazing.
So, like, under a week is how long it took you to get used to it?
Yeah,
Bruh.
like literally a day. Like I had like one uncomfortable night. That being
Bruh.
said, I was using I still use them now. I did temporarily switch to a full face mask, but I was running into some issues with that. Um, so I'm back to the nasal pillows,
I'm going to try
and
that.
yeah, I think once you get to a certain size, though, like you can't get enough pressure with the nasal pillows.
Yeah.
Um, so you need the full face mask. So I did switch over to the full face mask for probably about a week, but I'm sleeping so long that that mask requires so much pressure that the reservoir was running out of water,
Hmm.
and I was waking up with like super dry mouth, super dry um, throat, like lips were chapped. It was
Hmm.
just super uncomfortable. So I'm like, I'm not going to sleep with this every night. So I'm back on the nasal
Have
pills,
you
anyways.
tried adjusting the humidity level?
I think mine's set to auto. I
Oh, that
maybe need to
sucks.
look into that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can adjust it, but I was reading up on it, and apparently in the winter, like humidity is worse or whatever. So
Hmm.
that could be playing a role. But yeah, maybe I could adjust some, but I'm still sleeping fine with
Yeah.
the nasal pillows, and honestly, they're more comfortable anyways. So
Yeah, I need to try that because, man, it's been a battle. You're saying it took you a week, and that's awesome. I'm super happy for you. But I got diagnosed at 20. I turned 25 this year. I'd say I've only gotten comfortable within the past 6 months. I've been fighting it for almost
oh
5 years.
wow, that's brutal. So like, would
Yeah.
you go periods without using it at all? Just
Yeah, yeah, and I'll have periods
really?
of where I put it on, I fall asleep with it, I rip it off in the middle of the night while I'm not even aware, and then I wake up with it off. There's only so much
Really?
you
Eh?
can do about that. And I sleep so
Wow.
deep that I don't notice that I'm doing it. So I am getting
I
decent sleep. Generally, I'm able to wear it for 3 to 5 hours, and I'll if it's closer to three, I'll try to kind of get a bit more quantity of sleep to make up for it. It doesn't, but right, I'm gonna try to get closer to 10 if I only get three. Like I'll take a peek at my phone when I wake up. I'm like, okay, do I have time to sleep in like another hour or so? I only got 3 hours in my mask. I probably should. That type of thing.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. I hear people having that issue where like they don't even purposely pull it off. It's just,
Mm.
they're in a deep sleep and they rip it off. So
I've
yeah, I'm
got it
definitely
like
glad.
glued to my head too. It's so tight, but I just rip it off.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you get that sorted out because
Yeah,
like obviously you know how important sleep
absolutely.
is. Like not even just for bodybuilding, but your quality of life. Like
Yeah,
one bad night of sleep can, maybe not from a performance standpoint, but like it's gonna skew your blood sugars, like fuck up your appetite, your digestion.
absolutely. And
Um,
I'm wearing it, I'm wearing it more than not. I'm generally between that 3 to 5 hour mark, but there are some days I wear it for 6, 7, 8 hours. I definitely always make the effort to put it on, and that's a huge thing. A lot of people don't even do that.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, and those are the people that just don't understand like the health risk of
Hmm.
living with sleep apnea. Like it's one of those things like high blood pressure. You don't really feel it, and then when it's too
Yes.
late, you're gonna run into problems.
Yeah, we're battling that right now. I'm someone who's always had very low blood pressure. I took it today. I think today was the highest reading I've seen in a while, and I think it was like 121/70 or something. That's like a higher blood pressure
Wow.
for me. And, that's on all the stuff that I listed. And I'm doing 80 mgs of telmisartan, but I mean, it's nothing crazy. And then unfortunately, my wife just has genetically high blood pressure. Like, me being an enhanced male bodybuilder at, 230 to 240, I'll have that reading. And we've seen as high as 160 over 110 on her.
Mhm. Wow, dude. Yeah. So blood pressure is one thing I definitely struggle with. So going back to when I did have sleep apnea, I was actually on like dual therapy for it, like two different meds. And even that like wasn't even getting it under control. I was on 80 milligrams of telmisartan and amlodipine. I can't remember the dose,
Mm-hmm.
but I was still ringing in at like 150, 160 over 60. Weirdly, though, my systolic would always raise, but my diastolic is like always at like 60 to 70. So it's really weird. Um,
So it sounds like
so
your sleep
yeah.
apnea was causing most of that. And now that you've got it handled, it's kind of gone down a bit.
Uh, So honestly, I've kind of been sticking my head in the sand about
Uh,
my blood pressure over this rebound. It's probably a little higher than I'd
it's
like
in
it,
a,
but
in a rebound, it's going to be a little elevated because your body's just getting this influx of new shit, right? So it makes
yeah,
sense.
holding a ton of water. But it's like, I mean, a lot of people are going to say I'm stupid, but it's like
No.
I'm bodybuilding. I'm taking this risk. It's a short term exposure to high blood pressure.
Yeah, you're not planning on
Um,
living like this for the next year and a half straight. Like,
and on top of that, like I do monitor my health pretty closely. Like I go to cardiology once a year, and I get echocardiogram, uh, stress test, X-rays. Um, so that does get monitored. So I do I do take the right measures to,
yeah,
and obviously I'm not on a suicide mission. So if I start to see things going in the wrong direction, I'm going to take action on it.
of
But
course.
um, my mindset has always been cross that bridge when you get to it.
I agree.
That's
especially if it's just for a short time, like you're saying. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's my mindset for a lot of stuff. So might not be wise, it might be immature, but at the end of the day, bodybuilding is extreme, and
Yeah.
everyone's got a different risk tolerance.
Absolutely.
Mine just tends to be higher than some people's, and
Right there with you.
if you don't like that, sorry, I hurt your feelings. Like it's my life.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, man, I could be very morbid with it, but to me, it makes life worth living. If I shave off like some, which, and I look at it like this, I'm shaving off some of the bad years. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God, I'm,
Yeah,
I'm, I'm going to live to 70 instead of 80. Oh, what a world. What a world. And man, I enjoy this shit so much. I honestly would not care with you if it was a little bit lower than that. We're talking like maybe from 70 to 60 or 60 to 50. Anything lower than that, I'm going, but yeah, overall, I love this shit. I couldn't see living my life any other way. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to be reckless with it, but it means we're not going to, pout and get super stressed out about these little things that are just a part of it. You're going to have periods of time where your blood pressure is a bit elevated. You're going to have periods of time where your blood glucose is a bit elevated, but it's about how you live within the season. Now, if those things are still issues year round, like from off season to rebound to cruise to prep, that's a problem. But if in one of those specific times of bodybuilding, one of these things is a little out of whack, it just is what it is.
yeah. Like when I look at blood work, I have like a scale. So 1 to 10, one being pristine, like perfectly healthy, no abnormals on there. You got 10 would be like, okay, we need to drop everything we're doing. You could drop dead within a week, and
Absolutely.
we need to figure this shit out. And then 5 right in the middle is like what I consider bodybuilding acceptable.
Yep.
So, you got like your standard and normals. You see like, your HDL is a little low, liver enzymes up a little bit, maybe blood counts up a little bit. Um, that would be like a 5. And then anywhere between 5 and 10, it's like, okay, something's a little off here. We need to keep an eye on it and make sure it doesn't get too bad. So that's kind of how like I look at blood work.
That's a good way to look at it. I'd never really thought
Yeah.
about kind of the degrees of severity there, but yeah, I mean, there are things like you're saying with HDL, especially. I'm someone who I genetically have bad HDL. Because like I was saying, I've been on TRT since like 18, 19, 20, something like that. And so I've got extensive blood work going all the way back to like 16, just because, with football, we had to always get blood work for the school. I don't remember why, but I have that data going back, and I think the highest I've ever seen my HDL being natural, and I wasn't on a great diet, that being said, but 25, something like that. I mean, it's I've seen single digit HDLs, but the thing is though, knowing in bodybuilding, it's like, okay, it's not gonna. I have that natural template. It's probably not gonna be too much higher than that enhanced, right? So what can I do to kind of mitigate? Because that's my cross to bear, so to say, when it comes to side effects. All right, what else can I do? Well, let's make sure their LDL stays very low as a response to that. Because if my HDL is going to be like, between 10 to 30, depending on what time of year we're in, I need to keep my HDL or my LDL pretty damn low so that I'm not building plaque, because that HDL is cleaning the plaque, that LDL is building the plaque. So it's kind of a balance game. Some people will have an LDL of like 60 to 80 and they'll have a low HDL and they'll just freak out, and I'm like, it's probably not that much of a concern. Keep an eye on it for sure, but it's about what your normal is.
Yeah, and I mean that's where it comes down to, like, it's nearly impossible, but it would just be amazing to have doctors out there that, can understand what's going on and not just looking at these blood markers as individual markers and can kind of tie everything together. But obviously they're far and few
Dude,
between.
I don't remember where. I watch a lot of podcasts. I don't remember which podcast I heard this on. I think it was a podcast Chris Tuttle was on. Maybe it was Unwrapped. And he was talking about how he had a guy, he went to his primary care. The doctor saw that his ALT and AST were like 40/40, and he wanted to get a liver biopsy. How fucking
Oh my
insane
God.
is that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. For me, my trigger is like, I mean, I have seen my enzymes over 100, but
Same
if
here.
I'm seeing them consistently over 100, that's where I'm maybe gonna look into getting some sort of ultrasound or something to
Yeah.
see if anything's going on. But I mean, if I'm gonna be honest, over the past, how long have I been using PEDs? Probably like at least 4 years now, and ever since I've been using PEDs, they've been elevated anywhere between like 80 and 90. And I mean, maybe there's some damage going on, but um, another one of those things, let's cross that bridge when we get to it. I'm not
Yeah.
having any symptoms of it. Um, maybe within the next couple of years, I'll become a little more wise and mature and maybe look after my health a little bit. But
I
I
would
guess
say
let's
I
be
would say
kind
you are looking after your health. You're just not obsessing over the things that aren't necessarily important. Because like
of,
the liver is the most resilient organ in the body. Odds are, if you have no symptoms and you're not in crazy ranges, I wouldn't say low triple digits like 100 is high for liver. I think
no,
if
like,
you take a few days off of training, it's going to be within range.
yeah, yeah, and I'm never one to do that. So,
Saber.
and that kind of, I guess I could kind of tie into like another thing. I think an unpopular opinion I have about pushing and pulling in bodybuilding. So I've kind of, my outlook on it is, if you want to put on some serious size, like, there's a time where you're gonna have to push it hard. Like, you're gonna have to push high drugs, hard training for a long time with not a lot of time off cycle.
Agreed.
So so just for a timeline and to be completely transparent, so end of end of 2024 was when I did that moderate cycle to diet down for the rebound. Transitioned right into the rebound cycle, which was anywhere between 7 to 9 months. After that
Oh,
one,
okay. So there was no cruise between that. Wow, you got me beat.
yeah,
I did
yeah.
I did a 16-week rebound full cycle. So I was on the prep cycle into the rebound for a total of, I want to say, like 42 weeks. I think you got me beat.
So yeah, so basically, I guess to put um, dates on it, so started that very conservative cycle, let's say September 2024. Hopped on the rebound cycle November 2024, pushed that right through until, I want to say, end of April 25.
Mm,
Took 6 week cruise before the start of prep. Hopped into my prep cycle, which was a 20-week prep, and then right into a rebound cycle. So, that's a, well over a year with 6 weeks off, and
yeah.
that's something I'm personally willing to do. Like, obviously monitoring my health, but I believe, like, I'm a big believer in long-term exposure is what is gonna yield the best results.
Absolutely.
If you want to get really big, you gotta and that might literally that might literally be like a year or two
Yeah.
on cycle with no time off.
I mean,
Um,
I'd put it like this: we're not Phil Heath, and if we were, we would know it.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
we
And
got to be on for a while. Like it's going to be
yeah,
different for everybody. Like these guys who are genetic phenoms that they can literally be off for their off season. They're few and far between. That's not most people.
yeah. And now that being said, like I'm not an idiot. That's not this approach is not sustainable. Like I can't do this for the next decade.
And you're not going to need
There's
to.
gonna there's gonna be a time where I mean I'm gonna run into some health complication. My body's gonna give me the signs that hopefully it's just signs and nothing serious. But there's going to be signs that okay, I need to pull back, and I'm probably going to have to take like a good chunk of time off.
Yeah.
That could be like a 6 month to a year cruise or something. Like I don't know.
And here's the thing though, man. Like we're having to push this hard when we're still trying to grow and put on that mass. But like, look at these guys at the higher end. There's a reason that they can get away with only having 12 weeks of an off season and still make progress. It's because they have the majority of the tissue they need. So this isn't
And
something
lower
we're going to have to do
doses.
forever. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's the thing too. It's like pros, very big pros throw around these dosages. Like yeah, I run like 6 IU's of growth, and like 750 tests, and it's like yeah, they're probably right, but I mean,
For
I don't
everyone
want to
there
call it.
is that does that, I'm sure there's three others that do twice,
Yeah.
3 times
Yeah,
that.
and I'm not that guy to say they're liars because like there is a genetic factor and it's like these guys are at the top because of their genetics, but at the same time it's like okay, they are probably running that now, but I'm sure they pushed it before, and
Yes.
any honest pro is going to say like yes, in the prime of me growing, I ran a lot of shit, but now that I have this size, like I can get away with running less.
That's the thing
Um,
people miss, man. And it comes to the training too and the food. These guys will be throwing around 130-pound, 150-pound dumbbells, eating 8 meals a day, like uncomfortable in an off season. They'll do that for 10 years to get where they're at. And then, now they're at a spot where they can just cruise along and not necessarily do those things. And
yeah,
I don't know if it's them or the people watching, but somewhere along the line, somebody involved forgets, oh, this is what you're doing now, this is what you did to actually grow. Two different stories.
yeah. And all that being said, like I don't want to sound like I'm that guy that is saying pros are lying, but
No.
and I understand not all of them have to do that, but I I think if you sat down and got the truth from a lot of very big guys, they would admit that they had to run some pretty big dosages higher than they run now. Um, but yeah,
I mean, it makes sense. It just there's a time to push and pull, like you're talking about.
yeah, exactly. It's just you gotta weigh it out, and you gotta weigh it out, and sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought there.
You have a certain level of risk tolerance that is what is needed, right? Like I
Mhm.
wouldn't say you're pushing too aggressively or anything. Like you're not doing 5 grams a test. Like you could do
No,
some stupid shit. You could easily like I mean, hey, a bottle of test is not a lot of money. You could easily run one of them motherfuckers a week, and nobody would be the wiser. But because you want to push to grow, you're going to do just as much as you need to grow, not too much, not an excessive amount. There's a
yeah,
difference.
100%. And it's like, if I'm still growing at a good rate, I'm not necessarily that doesn't mean just because I'm running X amount of drugs now, that doesn't mean that 2 years down the road I'm going to be running double the drugs.
Yeah, and it's all about where you're at, right? Like I, I do agree that more is more, and we can get more out of more, especially depending on what time of bodybuilding you're in. But does a 150-pound kid just getting into his first cycle need to run a gram of test? Probably not. would
Oh, I
would
have
they
a bit of
grow?
a I think this might be another one of my unpopular opinions, but honestly, I believe if the goal is bodybuilding and you have a decent foundation where you've been training for a few years naturally, you put on a notable amount of muscle as a natural. I honestly believe it's not unrealistic for someone getting on their first cycle under the guidance of a coach to running. I definitely am in the camp of running testosterone only,
Uh-huh.
but if I were to take on someone in this situation as a coach, I would start them at X amount of test, let's say like 3 to 500,
Hmm.
but I would keep them on that cycle for a year, and I would
Yeah,
honestly taper it up to like a gram a test,
that's the
and
key though.
they're gonna
Tapering.
blow up.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Tapering.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
starting out at a gram, starting and then going
Yeah.
up as needed. Right. You're
Yeah.
not going to
Yeah.
go up to a gram if it's not needed.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's the thing too. It's like, okay, if I've got them at 500 milligrams a week and they're blowing up, it's like I'm not going to push it. But you know, it's if they start this cycle on 500 milligrams a test and they're not changing week to week, I'm going to start bringing it up and see what happens.
Hmm.
You know, um,
Another interesting point on that too is and I agree with pretty much everything you just said. The one devil's advocate play I could say is so, and this is kind of almost what I did to myself in the beginning. Sometimes drugs can mask bad training and they can allow you to make progress when you probably shouldn't be. I would honestly say the majority of my bodybuilding career through food first and foremost, and then the compounds was what I used to increase progress. I didn't realize how bad my training was, and if my compounds were a bit lower, I probably would have been able to tell my training needed improvement.
yeah. So I have a firm stance on training being the number one most important thing in
Mm,
bodybuilding. Um, a lot of people like to argue that it's diet, but the argument I have is
they're linked.
go to any gym. Show me a guy with a perfect diet that is training like a pussy. He, you can't show me a guy that looks good,
Yeah.
but go to like a college gym, and I could probably point out 10 guys that are eating like complete shit, drinking every weekend, but they're in the gym busting their ass and they look decent.
Yeah. Six pack.
That's my argument. Yeah. But like even like a decent amount of muscle, like I've seen endless guys that like just they go in the gym and they don't necessarily train well, but they
Yeah.
train fucking hard and they make pretty decent progress. But you can't say the same about someone that trains like shit and has a perfect diet. Like
Yeah.
I've never seen it at least. And I just know anecdotally from my own experience, I ran multiple cycles and made no progress because I I just didn't know how to train properly. I always had the intensity, but I wasn't training with intent, you know what I mean? And
100%.
until I got that to click, that's when I really started growing. So
Yeah. Same,
I
same, same exact experience I've had. I'm someone who I've always been able to train very, very hard on my upper body, but training my lower body, I've always been very immobile. I've had some lower back stuff throughout my life, so it's very uncomfortable for me to train legs hard. And not, I don't have that problem with upper body, but up until really when I started working with Joe, I would say that's when I learned how to train proper and accurate. And that's been the biggest
mhm,
difference for me is not just training hard, but being able to train hard across the board, treating my bicep training just as hard as my leg training and my chest training just as hard as my leg training and vice versa. Like training accurately and intensely has been the big thing for me because I used to do, you've probably heard me talk about it before, I used to do stupid amounts of volume. I've done 30, 40, 50 sets for a body part.
Jesus
And I
Christ.
was training pretty hard, but I didn't realize there was another gear that I could go to if that volume
Mhm.
was lower and I only could do a couple sets and I could put more myself into it. I just didn't realize that.
Yeah, 100%. And I definitely put the same effort and intensity into all my body parts, but honestly, there I don't know if it's a genetic thing or what, but some body parts you can't put the same intent you can't output the same intensity
We have different
as
connection to different body parts.
yeah, like for me, I can destroy my legs in like 2 sets of leg press, and like even one, honestly,
Mm,
one good set of leg press like could fuck up the rest of my workout. I can't do that with biceps, and you can see that in my physique. I need a ton of size on my arms, but my legs are arguably my best body part. So there's definitely something to be said about that. So, and it's not a lack of effort. It's just, okay, I know this is an issue. So how am I going to compensate for it? And
and
right now the approach is more volume.
mm,
I'd like to think that my biceps are growing,
for sure.
but just like looking at my check-ins, like I'm kind of just growing everywhere equally, which is
That's good.
not necessary. It's not necessarily what we're aiming for because definitely my upper body needs more attention, which my training split at the moment reflects. But
I'm experiencing a
I
similar
mean,
thing.
yeah. So I mean, maybe I'll bodybuild for 10 years and never build big arms, but I'm
I think
gonna.
you will for sure. And with me, something that I kind of clicked with recently is it's because I've always had a really good connection to my triceps, but never to my biceps. And for the first time in my life, I have a good connection to my biceps. And I can say it is truly like I would rather have one bicep exercise that I can connect to well and just pour everything into that than have 4 or 5 different angles of this or that
100,
trying to make up for it.
100%,
So just make sure you
100%.
got like 1 or 2 bicep movements where you're just fucking locked in and you can really connect to them. If it's some weird movement where you're standing, you're upside down on your head doing a cable curl, fuck it. Whatever you got to do to feel that shit, man.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that's actually something I was thinking about because um, I'm still trying to find those exercises for me because in my situation, my delts are far more overpowering than my arms, obviously, right? So it seems like when I really get to that point in a set where I need to be very intentional with my reps, like just naturally, my delts, as much effort as I put into them not taking over, they
Yeah.
just do, you know what I mean? And
For me, the
so it's
preacher
like,
curl has been the key to that because I'm the same way. My delts will overtake my arms. But when I'm in that position with my arm fully extended, and I think of it as like a lying hamstring curl, the same way you don't want your ass to come off the bench, you don't want your shoulder to come off.
100%.
Because when that shoulder comes up, that's where we're getting that. So for me, like
Yeah.
today I did pull. The one bicep exercise that I have on pull day is single arm machine preacher curls. I rest in between arms. I sit there and truly put as much focus and intent as I can into that movement. And for me, that's paid off.
Yeah. Honestly, some I've been doing too. Like it might be completely stupid, but for some of my back training, I've just been using no straps, and I'm finding I'm getting a massive bicep pump. So I'm like, I mean, maybe that's going to
Hey,
generate some growth. Like obviously that's kind of contrary to what people would normally want. But in my situation, I mean, I need to grow my back too. But like if I can get a bit of stimulus, spread out to both of them, like why the hell not?
do you kind of like a top set back off approach anywhere in your workouts?
So my training is kind of, I want to say like it's intuitive.
Mhm.
So what I do is I am very logbook oriented, but so at a minimum I hit a top set.
Okay.
But someday, like if I nail that first top set and I'm like, I'm gonna touch new weight, I'm gonna go for a second top set.
Okay.
If I hit that top set and it's like, okay, I beat my numbers, but like I don't feel like I'm like
Mhm.
dominating it, and I don't think it's a smart move to go up and weight. I'll do a back off set.
Okay.
Right now in the rebound, I'm getting stronger every week,
Yeah.
so and I'm doing 3 sets for most stuff, so it's usually like two. So basically, my approach right now is 2 top sets and a back off set.
Mhm.
Sometimes it ends up being 3 top sets because I'm getting stronger. So typically, top set number one will be the weight from the previous session,
Mhm.
but I'll beat the reps on it. And the second top set will be an increase in weight, and then followed by if I absolutely nail that and hit like the top of the rep range. And honestly, I don't even really train with set rep ranges.
Yeah.
I just kind of move it until it doesn't move.
Exactly.
And yeah, but most stuff I'm looking between like 8 and 14 reps. I think that's
Yeah.
kind of like the standard in bodybuilding. But yeah, so anyways,
What I was
move
getting
up and
at,
wait for
what I
this.
was getting with that top set back off approach is I was going to say maybe on, and especially since you have 2 top sets, maybe one top set you wear straps, maybe the next one you don't, and then for the back off one, maybe you just don't wear straps at all through any of it, just because then you can focus a bit more on the bicep there. Plus, your back is already taxed from the top set.
Yeah, so I guess we could kind of tie this into my gym because
Yeah,
um, uh, so I have some pretty wicked equipment there,
damn
and
straight.
I absolutely love the Prime stuff. So a lot of my stuff will look like I'll do. So on the Prime stuff, you can adjust like the
Yeah,
loading profile, right?
I've heard, but I've never had the privilege to use a piece of
Uh,
prime equipment. As about as
Man,
advanced as I go is hammer strength. Is about as high tech as I got.
so it's a blessing and a curse because it's like you get so used to using this fancy equipment that it's like I can't even think about going back to even like a relatively good gym,
Yeah,
like my gym's just so stacked and
you'd
I'm
feel
so
like a
spoiled, but
caveman at my gym, bro.
oh dude, 100%. Yeah. So, anyways, what I'll do is I'll actually I'll each set, like, I'll switch up the resistance profile. So it's like
That's awesome.
the first two sets I'll do like mid range loaded, so it's heaviest in the middle, and then the last set I'll do like beginning mid range, so it's like heavier in the stretch, and that way like you can really grind out those last reps because it gets easier as you're going through the movement, right?
Mhm.
Like
Yep.
as you're coming to the end range, like it's getting lighter, so that really allows you to grind out extra reps. So
That's got to
it's
feel
such a
wicked.
oh, dude, it's such a blessing to like have access to that, and just like outside of like the prime equipment, just so much other amazing stuff. Like the new tech stuff is just so adjustable.
Yeah.
Some of it I actually don't like because it's like too adjustable. Like the machine has like six different things you can adjust, and
Yeah.
it's like
It's like,
I
do we need
can't.
this?
I, like it's like for me, it's like how am I gonna without writing this down every time? Like I'm not
Yeah.
gonna remember what the settings are, and I'm pretty like rigid with like I want things. Um, things got to be the exact same. Like I got to be able
No
to,
variables.
uh, yeah, exactly. So I actually have a question for you.
Okay.
Um, if you're training and there's someone on a piece of equipment you need to use, how do you approach that?
Well,
Are you switching things up, or are you getting on that machine by any means
two
necessary?
prongs here. So number one, I own my gym, so
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. That's
people don't typically tell me no, but they're free to.
okay.
I just they don't typically tell me no, so I don't typically have to do the second part. But the first part is I own the gym with my dad that I train at. So generally speaking, people kind of let me do what I want when it comes to using equipment. But let's say it's a new member or someone who they've come at 3 o'clock in the morning and they've been on auto pay for 10 years before we bought the place. They don't know who I am or whatever. What I will typically do is I will just wait because I'm a creature of habit. Now to an extent, if I've never had a situation where I've had to wait like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Actually, good example today. A guy had big headphones like I've got on right now, and he was on the reverse pec deck, and my next exercise was reverse pec deck. He was in the middle of his set, so I kind of waved at him or called to him after he was done with his set, and he could not hear me. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna wait. So I sat back, waited for it was probably 3 minutes, 5 minutes at most, and I did my set after. But I could have gone over to the cable stack and done like some rear delt flies or something, but I would rather just do the workout as it's listed. Yeah,
Yeah, 100%. I'm not deviating for anything. Um, I always make the joke. It's like gym culture is so messed up right now because it's like if you ask someone to work in, it's like they got flashbang. They just
yeah,
look at you like, "What did you just say?" And it's like, so I never have a problem because like I just feel like at this point, like I just carry the energy. It's like, people don't really tell me no if I want to work in,
yeah.
but on the rare instance that someone does say no or gives me a hard time about it, like I'm just gonna stand there and look at you until you hurry up, and I'm gonna try to make you feel uncomfortable. Like
Yeah.
call me an asshole for that, but it's like, um, I got a job to do here, or I don't even want to say that. That sounds corny, but like
No, I understand
I,
what you mean though, but like it's
yeah,
in
like
everybody's training has value, but at the same time, our training has a literal and direct purpose. We are trying to sculpt the physique in a certain way, and we can get into the minutia about it. But in our minds, at the very least, we believe doing this exercise at this time in this order does serve a purpose. For the general pot person who is just going in there just to work out and be fit, the argument I would make is, well, they can do anything. It doesn't really matter. Now,
and you're gonna look the exact
yeah,
same.
we still got to respect their workout, but like it's not the same thing. It's not, and that's not like PC or gym etiquette to say that, but it's the truth.
Yeah, like 100%. And honestly, I could count on one hand how many times I've had someone approach me and ask me to work in, and it's like, why are people uncomfortable with that? Like, I don't even care. Like, if I'm on a leg press and we got to adjust plates in between sets, like, I'm okay with that. The
Yeah,
only hard one is like a Smith machine, and that's a pain
yeah.
in the ass to work in on. But besides that, man, like, yeah, it blows my mind because, like, surely in like my years of training, there's been times where people like look at a machine I'm on and see me there, and they're like, "Oh, I'm just gonna do something else." It's like,
Yeah.
if you want to use the equipment, like, feel free, like I'm not sitting on it in between sets or anything. And I always make the effort to like get off the machine when I'm when I'm in between sets. I'm not
Exactly.
someone that's going to sit on a machine.
Dude,
So
it kills me when I've been on a different exercise for 10, 15 minutes and someone goes up to me and says, "Hey, are you done with that machine over there you were on 15 minutes ago?" And I'm like, I'm not on it, am I? Like, if you see me move my stuff away, like if my jug is not on that machine, it means I'm done.
yeah, yeah. On that note, it's actually funny how many times like it drives me crazy. But I know people are just trying to be polite. But it's like you're like 10 feet away from a machine. They're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you're using that?" It's like, dude, it's way over there.
Bro,
Obviously,
the
I'm
other
not using
day,
it.
so well, you were mentioning before you got on the podcast that you were doing a digestion walk. I do the same thing, and since I'm at a gym all day, I've got treadmills. So I was just getting done with a 10-minute walk post meal, and I think this is like I had been done with the walk. I had sat down at my desk. This is probably 20 minutes later. A dude asked me, "Hey man, are you still using that treadmill?" I'm like, "What treadmill?" It's like the one you were on like 30 minutes ago. I'm like, "No, brother, I've not been on it for like 30 minutes. I'm not using it."
I don't know. Maybe some people just like to talk or something. I don't know. But
Well,
yeah,
unfortunately, people don't tell me shit at the gym, man. I swear, it's like I got to pull teeth just to like, hey, who broke this machine over here? Who did this? Like, no one tells me shit, man.
so I'm curious about your gym. You got a pretty good community of people there. Are
Yeah,
there any other bodybuilders there, or
no.
is it mostly?
So maybe there's one lady who competed in OCB for a couple years, or actually a while. Are there any other competitive bodybuilders? We have a retired. I don't remember if she was physique or figure or something like that, but she's retired. I think that's it. I think I'm the only active competitor, but we do have a lot of powerlifters and strongmen.
Gotcha. So within X amount of radius, like is bodybuilding pretty niche for you, or
100%. I'm probably the only person who even has aspirations to compete within an hour that I know of.
really? Eh? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm also blessed in the sense that the bodybuilding culture is really amazing
Yeah.
here in Canada, especially where I live. So I don't know if you're familiar with the gym Pure Muscle and Fitness.
Yep.
So that's basically like the mecca of bodybuilding in Canada. That like people like pros will like move to that
Yeah.
city too. And actually, my gym is a what would I call it? Like I guess affiliated with it. Like same
I thought
owner.
it was. I thought it like
Yeah,
you literally were training at that gym. That's how much it looks like though.
yeah. So, anyways, get a lot of not that I network with them at all, but like like I'll have pros come through my gym, and even just like the dynamic of the. So you guys have the NPC, we have the CPA.
Huh. I didn't know it was a different named federation. That's interesting.
Yes, yeah. So they're both under the IFBB, but ours is the CPA. Anyways, let's just say there aren't nearly as many pro cards handed out.
I've heard that. Yeah.
So our regional shows are pretty stacked, and our national shows are definitely stacked. You'll get like basically the first call out in like the super heavyweights could all be argued for pro cards,
Hmm.
at any pro qualifier. Um, and that which ends up with people going to North Americans to get their
Yeah.
pro card. That's it's pretty common.
So what is
But
the
yeah,
main pro qualifier for Canadians?
so I might be wrong about this, but I believe it. I believe we only have three pro qualifiers.
Okay.
So we have the Toronto Pro, which is
Oh, okay.
well, it's the Toronto Pro Am, so
Yeah.
it's the pro show and the amateur show, and then there's the Vancouver Pro Am. They do an amateur side of it,
Mhm.
and then we have Canadian Nationals.
Okay.
And those are the three that you can get a pro card at. And honestly, again, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's only the overall winner that gets a pro card. Like
That sounds right.
if yeah, yeah, if you win your class, you're not getting a pro card. Like you got to win the overall. So
Mm.
yeah, so it's pretty hard to come across a pro card in Canada. A lot of guys will go to North Americans, as I said, and probably I think Ian Valle did did some like Mexico show or some or
Yeah, people will have like qualms and stuff with how people get their pro card. To me, I don't care. Unfortunately, the pro card, like just on paper, statistically, with how many there are, it does not have quite the same impact as it used to. So to me, I don't really care how someone gets it. I just care what they do with it. Like to me, it is obviously different. Like if you're someone who's been, on and off competing for like 20, 30 years and you just want to turn pro at a master show and then call it a reps, different story. But I generally think it doesn't really matter how someone gets their pro card. I don't like the idea of, let's say you're 30 years old, you're in your prime, you turn pro and you just call it rap. I don't like that. Like if you have that pro card, you probably should do something with it. That's the only qualm that I will have.
Yeah, let's just say you're not a pro until you compete as a pro.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to shit on anyone that doesn't,
No,
but
no, no.
I do agree it's kind of corny if you sit on a pro card and use it as like a big marketing tool
Yeah.
and this, and it's like, okay, like you haven't even competed as a pro.
30 years ago that made sense. Like in my town, funnily enough, there are no bodybuilders that compete in my town right now, but for whatever reason in the 80s and 90s we were like a mecca for bodybuilding. Like every old dude at my gym competed at some point. They didn't get in shape necessarily, but everybody at least tried their hand at competing in the past, right? So there were a lot of guys. We have a couple of pros who are retired, but I think, yeah, all of the pros that I can think of that are retired in my town, not a single one of them did a pro show.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
So I think that like the whole thing with people not competing now, um, compared to getting a pro card in the past is like, you know, in the past, if you got your pro card, like you were ready to be a competitive pro.
100%.
Whereas a lot of guys get pro cards now, it's like, you know, you could get a pro card as a light heavyweight, and it's like unless you're 5'5" and competing in 212, like
Yeah.
you're probably gonna need like several years of off season to be competitive in the pro ranks, right?
Don't they give pro
Um,
cards to the bantamweight class?
I don't know,
In the
probably.
states, I think we do.
Yeah, I think at nationals, like every class winner probably, and some of
Yeah.
them, two people, the winner of a class and the runner up, I think
Yeah.
maybe gets one. Yeah,
And
it's pretty crazy.
it's like again, I don't really care how the person gets their pro card, but man, if let's say you get second in your class at Bantams and you turn pro, bro, how long are you gonna have to go into off season for before you do a pro show?
Yeah,
That'd be
and
wild.
that kind of relates to where I kind of think it's stupid when people uh, qualify for a national show by placing top three in a class. It's
Yeah.
like it's like if you're 30, if you can't even win your class, like why are you going to nationals? You're just I always make the joke like if you're doing that, you're just a fundraiser for the promoter
I was just
because
about
you're
to
not
say, yeah.
unless you have some make some crazy progress in between those two shows, like you're not going to be competitive. So
Yeah.
like but like people always ask me, and not that I like I'm a realist, so like I I think it takes a decade for someone with average genetics to really know
100%.
what their potential is. But
Absolutely.
right now, I'm not banking on being a pro. You know, and people ask me, are like, are you are you trying to get a pro card? And it's like,
Hmm.
dude, like, let me win a class first, you know, and then
Yeah.
I like to take it one step at a time. Like, I'm not thinking about a pro. I'm not even thinking about winning an overall yet. Like,
Yep.
I
So
let me win a class, and then let me win an overall. And
I think we're in literally the same spot. Have you ever won a class, overall, a novice, anything? And you done two
I
shows,
mean,
right?
I won true novice, but that doesn't mean shit.
Okay.
That's
Same
yeah.
situation. I didn't do true novice. I kind of almost wish I did, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. I've done novice and open for classic for my first show. Then I did novice for classic, novice for bodybuilding, and then open for classic my second show. Those are the only two shows I've done. Did not win any of that, and
Mhm.
that I'm on the same wavelength. Like, dude, I just want to win my class. That's the first
Yeah.
step. Then I want to look to fight for an overall or win an overall. Then I want to look to, okay, can I be in second, maybe first call out for a national show, and you just kind of work your way up that competitive ladder. I think that's a great way to look at it. That's a realist mindset. It's not a negative mindset whatsoever. And I also would say I think you're of the opinion you're not chasing a pro card, you're chasing a pro physique.
100%, yeah, because there's so many limiting factors. So I truly believe that I can put on the size to be a pro, but is that gonna be enough? No, like there's so much more that goes into it, like like proportion, shape, everything, right? So it's like it's not all about size, but
And another thing too is I will say I legitimately do believe in the year of 2025, almost 2026. If you want to turn pro, you probably can eventually. Now, does that mean you're going to win, the overall at USA's or nationals or whatever? No, but like, even if it comes down to, cheesing out a pro card at a 35 Masters, I mean, it is, you can turn pro if you want to. I don't think that's what's stopping you now. If you have in your head a certain way you want to do it, that's a different story. Like if someone is like, I want to be Mr. USA. If I can't be Mr. USA, I'm turning away my pro card. I'm handing it down. I don't want it. Then that's a different story, obviously. But I think that it's pretty reasonable. I don't think it's like arrogant or anything to assume you can get a pro card. And you're
no,
genetics wise, I think you're in a good spot. Like you're not too tall. You've got a good frame. You got good shape. I think you can do better than you think.
I think so. Like if I put enough time in, pick the right show, the wrong people show up, I'm gonna need the stars to align perfectly. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
But yes, I don't think it's out of the question. Just um, very small percentage of a chance. But like I said, not even something that crosses my mind at this
Yeah.
point. Really, my goal right now is just to be competitive in
Yeah.
whatever show I'm competing in,
Absolutely.
and so I will not step on a national stage until I'm confident that I'm going to be competitive in that lineup. So.
And that's a great mindset to have. Like, I mean, there's no reason because people don't realize, man, going to a national level show is expensive. Doing a regional level show is expensive. I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable to say if someone is planning on doing a national level show, you need to probably put away anywhere from 3 to 7,000, depending on where you live and depending on like where the show is.
Yeah. I mean, I just honestly, I don't even think about the money aspect. It's
Yeah,
like
same here. But
because it's so ridiculous that it's
yeah.
just like I'm just gonna,
And here's the thing:
whatever.
we've only done 2 shows. Like, we shouldn't be thinking about that right now.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna go broke to compete, but it's
Yeah.
like it's such an important thing in my life that um, whatever it costs, it costs. I was making the joke during my prep. It's like it almost feels like a wedding. It's like just shit just keeps coming up. Like you
Bro.
think you think you have everything covered, and it's like, oh, here's another expense. Here's another expense.
Yeah, I decided to give myself a double whammy because here's the thing: I've been with my wife for ever since I was 17, but we got married during my first contest prep.
Really, eh?
Yeah, bro, my first contest prep, I was on my honeymoon at my wedding. I was eating whitefish, like 100 grams of rice and some green beans on my wedding night, man. It was
Man,
the hardest
that's how
thing
you
I've
know
ever
she's.
done.
That's how you know she's a keeper if she
Exactly.
was able to put up with that. I mean,
Yep.
she might not have loved it, but
Oh yeah, we'll talk about it all the
she could
time now.
tolerate
Yeah.
she could tolerate it.
Yeah, that's what it's all about too. I think it's super important to if you're going to do this thing, you got to have a support system, like you're saying. Like it's a tough sport to do alone, and some people make the best progress of their lives when they're kind of in that bachelor phase. But I think it's super important, just as a foundation of life, to have that backbone of a solid partner, and it's the thing I'm most grateful for in my life by far.
Yeah, it could definitely make or break you. If you have the wrong person, it's
Oh
just
yeah,
gonna add way too much stress. Like I said, I went through that phase where I was in a relationship, and it's just like, um, I still loved going to the gym. I loved eating bodybuilding food. Like I was still not interested in eating cheat meals and stuff. So it's like we
hmm
couldn't find that middle ground where, um, like basically, I felt like I was, what's the word?
you felt like you were having to choose which was your priority.
Well, not even that, but it's like I was making. Sorry, it's slipping from me, but I, I was giving things up, but
Okay.
she, but she thought I wasn't giving up enough. You know what I mean?
It was like a one-sided transaction in what you were having to sacrifice. Like you were making the effort to do these
Sacrifice,
things.
yeah,
Yeah.
sacrifice is the word. So like I felt like I was sacrificing too much, and she didn't think I was sacrificing enough. So it's like obviously
Double
that's not
whammy.
going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you definitely got to find the right person.
Yeah.
So is your wife into bodybuilding at
Oh
all,
no,
or?
not at all.
Oh, really?
I'm lucky if I can get her to come to the gym 2, 3 times a week, but that's also just
Really?
because I'm super busy as well. But like, no, I don't think she had ever been to a gym before she met me, and I was 17 when I met her. So her coworkers joke about it. They say that she's been married to 5 different men, and we've only ever been married to each other because she's seen me at 170 pounds with no muscle at 17% body fat. She's seen me at that bloated college point where I was around 240, 250, walking around just a puffball. And she's seen me 170 pounds on stage at my first show. She's seen me be 195, 197 at this second show. And, now she sees me where I'm at now. It's a continuous journey. And the more I talk to people, the more I am grateful for my situation in life because, man, I've got it pretty damn good. I have only really had a couple jobs, and the job I've been at the longest for now has been owning a gym with my dad. Perfect job for bodybuilding. I can make my own hours. I can pretty much do what I want to a degree within reason. I I live in a house right now that is paid off. I'm 25 years old. I don't think many people can say
That's
that.
amazing.
And that's
No, definitely not.
that's due to my family. That's not of anything I've done. That's just we happened to purchase these properties before COVID, so they were super cheap. Redid them, stuff like that. And I've only ever been with one woman my entire life. So like all
Wow,
that
man.
stuff just kind of coalesces to like I'm so blessed beyond
The
measure.
American dream, man.
It is, and it's like, man, if I can't do something with this bodybuilding thing, with all this working for me, then what the fuck else am I gonna do, man? Like I've got it good. I've just gotta. All the pieces are finally starting to connect now, and especially having the right guidance in my corner of someone like Joe has just. It is 10x'd my progress. I was making decent
Hmm.
progress. Like I had that first show, then I took a 2 year off season. I put almost 30 pounds of stage weight, like you did, except it took me a bit longer. I put on almost 30 pounds of stage weight in like a year and a half or 2 years on basically like under a gram of anabolics with no growth hormone at all, training like 6 days a week, twice a day, fucking absurd numbers of volume. Like I would do I'd have 2 back days a week. Each one would have north of 20, 30 sets. And I still grew as much as I did. So now having someone in my corner that actually cares and is able to correct all these mistakes that I've been making for years, man, it's just, every year that goes on, I get blessed more and more and more. And all these conversations that I've had recently with guys on the show has just made me so appreciative of that, of how good I have it. And it's something I don't take for granted.
Yeah, 100%. I've had the same experience with Joe, man. Like, you just like I can't say enough good things about him. Just every year, my body shape shifts, and I owe him so much credit because he doesn't like taking credit for it. But I mean, um, it just like the attention I get from him, like
Second to none.
there's not many coaches like that. Like honestly, now that I'm out of prep, like I'm trying to, I'm almost trying to like give him space
Yeah.
because it's like, like we were communicating so much, like, and I just feel bad. Like I won't hit him unless it's something super serious. Like I'm not going to hit him up outside of a check-in or anything. And it's just like, this guy's got to be sick
Yeah.
of me at this point. Like, we like spent a few days cause he came to my show.
That's so cool, by the way. I can't believe we didn't get into that at all. That has got to be
Oh yeah.
a dream experience, man, to have your coach come out and peak you for your first show. That's got to be
Oh,
awesome.
dude, it was awesome because it's just like outside of like the bodybuilding, just like having time to like
Yeah.
get to know each other on like a personal level and stuff. Like, yeah, it was definitely an awesome experience, and just literally like being able to eat a meal and then half an hour later doing a round of posing for
Yeah.
just obviously being my first show took a lot of stress out of like the whole process of it. Yeah, it was pretty surreal. And I honestly think like if it's in the budget for you and he offers it up like to come to your
Oh,
show,
dude, I
I
blank check. Blank check. That's all I'm going to say.
yeah, dude, like 100%. I think you should because
Yeah. I haven't said
I,
anything because it's like I don't. On one hand, I kind of don't want to ask, but at the same time, dude, I would be so fucking hyped. Like that'd be a dream,
well, I,
honestly.
well, I'm gonna send him a clip of that and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. If that opportunity comes up, like definitely hop on it because
Absolutely.
for me at least, like it definitely 10x the whole experience.
Oh yeah. Well, we're at I don't even know how long we're at because I started recording a little bit before we jumped on here, but my recorder right now is about 2 hours, so I don't want to take any
Holy
more.
shit.
Yeah, I don't want to take any
Yeah,
more of your
I
time, and
got,
I got to eat.
gotta
So
get a mute. Yeah.
yeah, but man,
Two
this
hours is two
yeah
hours is about the max for a bodybuilding
flew
podcast because we
flew
gotta eat.
by. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna try to kind of keep us at like an hour and a half, but we were just rolling. So I'm like, all right, let's just
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah,
But
man. Honestly, like, thanks so much for having me on. That was an awesome discussion, man.
yeah, man, this was a great
I mean,
discussion.
if you're up for it, like, I think things went pretty well, and I would love
Absolutely.
to be back on again.
Oh
And
yeah.
you know, maybe we can discuss off air some like topics we want to talk about in the future and stuff. Because I mean, I do have a lot of unpopular opinions that
Let's hear him next time.
that I don't really let out into the public, but I think it might be an opportunity, and I think people might find value in it too.
Oh
So,
yeah.
um, yeah.
Yeah,
Anyways,
we'll talk about that off air. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it to the end of this podcast, you're a legend because I don't know how long this is going to be, but it's probably going to be pretty close to 2 hours. So please drop a comment if you did make it this far. I see you guys doing that in the comment section at the end of the videos, and it absolutely makes my day every time I see a 5-minute crew comment. So this has been another episode of the Iron Obsession podcast. If I am slick, I will have edited our social media stuff under our names. So go there, or you can always look below in the description. Thank you guys for watching.